We're about to uncover this hidden blueprint that shapes, well, almost every part of our modern lives. And get this, it was written 2,000 years ago. Not with ink, but with concrete, stone, and just sheer ingenuity by the Roman Empire. So let me just ask you this. Think about your day. From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, how much of what you do, what you see, and what you use is secretly Roman? I think the answer is going to surprise you. Because the main idea here is pretty simple, really. Roman innovation isn't just a dusty old history lesson. It's this invisible, foundational blueprint for our entire civilization. So let's really dig in and see what they built. Okay, first up, let's look at how Rome actually connected its massive empire. And this wasn't just about conquering land. It was about totally mastering it with some of the most incredible infrastructure you can imagine. I mean, we've all heard that saying, right? But what's so wild is that it was literally true. The Romans engineered a road network so advanced, so extensive, that it became the circulatory system for their military, their trade, their whole world. So how did they build roads that are still around millennia later? Well, they didn't just pave over some dirt. No, it was this sophisticated 4-layer process. They'd start with a really solid, leveled earth foundation, add in some small stones, then, and this is key, a layer of their game-changing concrete, and finally top it off with tightly fitted paving stones. This thing was an all-weather highway built to last. And that game-changing material, opus cementitium, or Roman concrete, was a complete revolution. The secret sauce? Volcanic ash. This stuff created a chemical reaction that made the concrete unbelievably strong. And listen to this, it could even harden underwater, which was just mind-blowing for building things like bridges and harbors. And it wasn't just roads. The Romans engineered these massive aqueducts to bring fresh water into their crowded cities. Just the city of Rome alone was supplied by 11 of these systems. These were enormous structures that snaked across the landscape for almost 100 kilometers, all built on this tiny, precise gradient. I mean, what a stunning feat of engineering. Okay, so the empire is physically connected. The hardware is in place. Now the Romans had to figure out how to manage the flow of information, the software, if you will. And in doing so, they created a blueprint for an informed society that, believe it or not, we've been copying ever since. Just take a look at this. It probably looks kind of familiar, right? Emperor Augustus set up what was called the Cursus Publicus, which was basically the world's first state-run postal service. They used their amazing road network, had a series of horse-changing stations, and a messenger could cover about 80 kilometers a day. It was the FedEx of the ancient world. But what about the average person? How did they stay in the loop? Well, meet the Acta Diurna, or Daily Acts. This was a government-published bulletin, and it was, for all intents and purposes, the first daily newspaper. It covered everything from political decrees and military news to public events. It kept Roman citizens informed long before the printing press was even a dream. One of their most enduring innovations was how they stored information. Before them, you had scrolls, which were just clunky, brittle, and a total pain to use. So the Romans, especially under Julius Caesar, pioneered the Codex. They stacked and bound papyrus sheets between two covers. They literally invented the book as we know it, making information durable, portable, and super easy to access. All right, so we've connected the empire and we've got information flowing. For our third part, let's zoom right in on how the Romans engineered daily life in their massive cities, creating a blueprint for how we live in cities today. Seriously, think about the Colosseum or the Pantheon. How in the world do you build on that scale with a strength that just defies time itself? Well, the Romans faced that exact challenge, and their solution was just as elegant as it was powerful. Their solution was perfecting the arch. Now, other cultures had used simple arches, but the Romans mastered it. This simple semicircle shape brilliantly takes the massive weight of a structure and pushes it outwards and down into the ground instead of just straight down, which would cause it to collapse. It's genius. And this simple principle was a total game changer. It let them build way bigger bridges, way taller aqueducts, and create these huge open interior spaces without needing a whole forest of columns. The Colosseum is the ultimate proof of this. Its incredible strength comes from almost 200 arches stacked right on top of each other. It's an icon that's still standing today because of it. Now, let's talk about something a bit less glamorous, but absolutely essential for city life. What do you do with all the waste? Well, the Romans were masters of public sanitation. The Cloaca Maxima, their main sewer system built way back around 50 BC, was this complex network that carried waste right out of the city. It was so far ahead of its time that after Rome fell, sanitation tech actually went backward for centuries. And what about staying comfortable? Yeah, the Romans basically invented central heating. The hypocaust system was this ingenious method of underfloor heating. So a furnace would heat up the air, which would then circulate in a space beneath a raised floor, warming up the rooms above. And the smoke? It was cleverly vented out through special pipes in the walls. It is the direct ancestor of the system keeping many of our homes warm right now. So let's bring it all home. When we really look at our world, we're not just seeing modern progress. What we're actually seeing are the echoes of a Roman blueprint that has lasted for 2,000 years. We've really looked at 3 core blueprints today, right? First, they connected their world with absolutely unparalleled infrastructure. Second, they managed and spread information with systems we still recognize. And third, they engineered cities that were clean, comfortable, and most importantly, built to last. So, in the end, the legacy of Rome isn't something locked away in museums or crumbling in ruins. It's the invisible foundation right beneath our feet. It's the logic behind our mail system, and it's in the very shape of the buildings we admire. We are still building on their blueprint. And that just leaves us with one final thought to chew on. The Romans created things with such profound usefulness and durability that they've lasted for ages, which really makes you wonder, 2,000 years from now, what innovations from our time will people look back on as the fundamental blueprint for their world? What are we building that will truly last?